In this video, we're going to take this XML file, and if you haven't seen XML before, it's actually a lot like HTML to look at. So you've got these tags, and the tags describe what's inside the tag. So that ID tag there lets us know that it's ID inside. But unlike HTML, you can make up whatever you want. So you can have middle name, first name, secret name, dog's name, you name it. And that doesn't have to be consistent. So this customer here has first name, last name and middle name, and this customer just has first name and last name. And what we're doing is we're building a page. I don't think I've actually loaded up this page yet. Let me just get to this. So where are we? Somewhere on the sandbox. Sorry about this. There we go. So we're going to view and add customers from XML. So we're taking that data and we're showing it here in the table, and we're also going to build in functionality to add a customer. But this is a terrible solution. Like, I'm really only showing you this so that you understand that it can be done. But even if you were Matt Damon on Mars, I don't think that's how you'd go about doing this. First of all, you do need to be on a web server to do it. You can't just run it off your computer. So it wouldn't even be a particularly good solution if you're offline. What else is bad about it? Oh, it can't write to the XML file because the browser doesn't and shouldn't have permissions to be able to write to files on the server. So the workaround is that we load the file up into memory, we make changes to it in memory within the browser, and then we download a fresh copy of the file. And I'll show you how that works. In fact, why don't we have a look at it now? So there's the contents of the file, and let's add Roger Dodger. I don't know, I just feel like he should be spelt that way. So we add Roger. Now, he's actually not in the XML file because we can't write to the XML file, but he's there in our idea, or the browser's idea of it. It's in that data set. And then we can refresh if we want. Oh, okay. The refreshing is getting it straight from the file. So Roger, I'm afraid, because he wasn't in the file, he went away. Sorry, Roger. So we're adding him, and now we're going to download the XML. And this is the best we can do with this solution. So I'm going to download it. I have no idea. There it is. And there's our file. And you'll see down the bottom, the formatting's not great, but it doesn't matter for XML because it's all the tags that it reads. There is Roger Dodger, and he has the next ID number. So it works, but it's a hideous solution. Let's have a look at the code anyway. I don't imagine anybody's going to really use this code, but it's here to prove that it can be done. Up here, this is just our HTML, start of a document, HTML tag, head, body, heading. Here, we've got a table container, which is just a standard bit of HTML, and we're going to push our built table into that container. So we're going to construct it in JavaScript and then push it into that space. We've got a form here where they put in their first name and their last name, and when you press the button, it's going to load the function, or it's going to call the function add customer. We've got a space for a message, a confirmation message. We've got a load customers function, which loads it from the XML file. And we've got a download customers function. As I said, it's an incredibly messy solution. So we've got this thing called XML doc. We're just creating it, but there's nothing in it. It's got a null value. Let's see what load customers does. Well, this explains why Roger wasn't there, because it's awaiting the fetch. So it's saying, hey fetch, go and get me the contents of XML on the server. Now Roger was never in there. If it's not okay, throw an error. But text, we're going to await the response, this thing here, and get the text out of it. This is going to convert it into something that that this program can read. So from XML into an array. Then we're going to call this function called render the table. Now this function called render the table, it says if, what's it saying? If there's no such thing, oh yeah, okay. If there's no such thing as XML, return. Yep, fair enough. So we're creating this object called customers from the customer tags. If we look back, we'll notice that customer here, oh, actually we can't say, but that's an element, and these are sub-elements. So we're calling the element, and then we're popping in all of this HTML here just to make the top of the table work. Nothing interesting there. we're cycling through the array that's been built. We're building up a variable which we're getting out of the array that's been built, and then we're adding that variable into a line of HTML for that row. So that's just creating a line of HTML that it's adding into the variable that we're building up, which is going to contain all of the code for the table. Then we get to the end. HTML content is actually table content, probably would have been a better name. And then we're just saying, hey, go and find this thing called table container and put HTML content into there. So let's see this in action. This is what's happening here. That starts off in the split second before we can see it as empty, and then it goes and gets this object, transforms it a couple of times, it cycles through it and builds up the code for a table, and then it puts the table into that space on the page. Now, add customer. Well, we're going to each of these elements and we're getting the value from them. We're trimming out any white space. We've got a little bit of a validation there, which will fire off if you don't fill in both of them. We are then, what are we doing? We're creating a new ID. So we're looking through the IDs that are already in the database and we're picking the next number. You can sort of slow down and read that if you want to, but basically it's saying find the highest number and add this to it. Then we are creating a new customer, and then where are we? Somehow here, oh yeah, we're appending children to it. So the customer is up at the top level inside the root, and these are all inside customers. So they're all children of customer. So that's why they have the name of this element here, because they're all children of new customer. Then we append it to the document, and then we rerun render table. This bit here, I'm not going to go through bit by bit because truth is I don't really understand it, but that is creating the XML file, the new XML file from what's in memory and downloading it for the user. So as I said, this is a hideous solution, but not every tool is great for every task. And I would say this is a really good example saying, well, you can use it for this, but you'd be much better off, I think you'd be much better off to do it in PHP or Python. And there we go, it's dinner time, so it's time for me to go.